Today with me is Patrick-Noël Gregor, a trader of the oldest asset in the world.
We have got rubies, emeralds, sapphires.
What you're holding in your hand is highly compressed value. What is your estimate? What is that worth?
This is approximately 250K. It's very easy to store a lot of money into very small stones. My idea is to rethink the oldest asset in the world, and you won't find them in tech. So it's our task to put them into the tech business, to the next generation.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About Tech, your podcast on venture capital, private equity, and blockchain solutions, brought to you by Venionaire Capital, the entrepreneurial partners. Today with me is Patrick-Noël Gregor, a Gemstone trader, a trader of the oldest asset in the world. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, good to be here. Thank you so much.
It's amazing to have you. You are definitely the first Gemstone trader I've ever had in my office, and I just need to start with one question. In our talk, it's about tech. What do gemstones have to do with tech?
They are the oldest asset, and you won't find them in tech. So it's our task to put them into the tech business, to the next generation.
Wonderful. This is a great topic. We will dive into the real world asset space. And before we do that, I'd kindly ask you to just introduce yourself, a bit of your background, how you came into the gemstone space.
Well, the first time I got in touch with gemstones is meanwhile 15 years ago. I come from private equity originally. And when I was working for a kind of wealthy family from Germany, I got asked, is there anything we can invest in that is small, portable, and keeps it valuable? And this is how I got into gemstones.
Gemstones are then diamonds.
No, gemstones are divided into, first of all, diamonds. They are the most well-known gemstones in the world. Diamonds are a girl's best friends. Very good advertising from Tiffany, long time ago. And from my point of view, the most important gemstones are the colored ones, so the so-called colored gemstones.
And you brought some examples, right?
Exactly. So I can show them here. We have got rubies, emeralds, sapphires, for example. They are the most well-known.
Rubies are the red ones.
The rubies are red. Yeah.
The blue ones.
Blue ones are called blue sapphires, and the most well-known green gemstone in the world is emerald. Yeah.
Okay, and then you have pink and yellow.
Exactly, those are sapphires as well. So sapphires can have any color but red, because the sapphire is the brother of the ruby. Yeah, and if the mineral is red, it's called ruby, and any other color is called sapphire. Yeah.
Amazing. And what you're holding in your hand is highly compressed value. What is your estimate? What is that worth?
This is approximately 250K. Yeah, so it's very easy to store a lot of money into very small stones. Yeah, it's the most compressed asset in the world. Yeah.
Impressive. But not every stone is similar, right?
No.
We know that from jewelry, right? Bigger ones, smaller ones. Is there standards?
For diamonds, yes. Yeah, but when we skip diamonds, it's funny because to get an idea how rare colored gemstones are, if you want to have 100 diamonds, half a carat, so the typical size for an engagement ring, for example, it takes me 3 to 7 days to get them. Yeah? If you ask me for 10 rubies in similar quality, it might take half a year.
Wow.
This is how rare colored gemstones are.
And you as a trader, you have then sources in all around the world, or is there bigger exchanges? How does the trade business work?
The earlier you get into the market, the more you skip the middleman, the better the quality is. It's not about the price, it's about the quality. Yeah, of course you get cheaper when you go back to the mines or to the cutting companies. Yeah, but first of all, it's all about the quality. Yeah, and the earlier you get into the market, the better the quality is, and the higher the value in the market. Yeah, for our clients. Yeah.
But you have to check each and every stone, right?
Everything is double checked by my business partner Maria and me. And this is how we do business. We only buy gemstones we see in person. We check them. Then they go to a lab, to a gem lab, to distinguish between certain qualities, and then we decide whether we buy or not.
And this is what you do in your company, Valoterna.
Exactly.
Based here in Vienna.
Exactly.
And these relationships you have and like visiting people who sell you the stones, how much expertise do you need to first of all build the network and then also to judge which stone is good and which one is bad?
You mentioned a very important thing. Gemstone business is a very old business, and it's all about relationship. So first of all, you need people you can trust, and this trust is proved each and every time you meet. And the more or the better you know the people, the better the quality gets. Because the more they trust you and the more they will show you the better qualities. So it's all about relationship. It's all about trust. It's all about handshake. And depending on which country you buy, it's a lot of chai, tea, or anything else you have to eat, drink, and enjoy life together.
Sounds like a quite pleasant scouting experience you have there. How is the gemstone market regulated? Can anybody buy gemstones or deal with them?
More or less, yes. But you need a lot of experience to distinguish between low quality and top quality. And this is the most important expertise you have is the training of your eyes, because it's all about the visible inclusions, the color, to decide whether a gemstones is worth to buy or not.
So diving a bit deeper into this on a technical level, there is also artificial diamonds today. Is there also artificial gemstones?
Yeah, definitely yes. Yeah, when you think about watches, the glass in each and every Swiss watch, for example, is called sapphire glass. Yeah, so this is a synthetic sapphire. Yeah, it's pretty much the same like the blue sapphire here. But it's colorless. It's scratch proof, and this is why it is used for glasses, for watch glasses, for example. And synthetic color gemstones are quite old. The techniques have been established in the late 19th century, and lab-grown diamonds, which are very popular at the moment for several reasons. I don't understand why. They were established approximately 1960s, 1970s, and now they are very common. But the so-called lab-grown diamonds, it's not a lab where they grow. It's a huge industry, and you need a lot of energy to produce lab-grown diamonds.
I would assume carbon and pressure.
That's a diamond, and a white diamond is kind of boring, because it's only carbon.
Okay, and when you see an artificial stone, could you distinguish from a real one?
Diamonds not. Colored gemstones definitely yes. Because when a colored gemstones seems to be too good to be true, it's 90% that it's man-made and not natural.
Interesting. So it's easier for you out there to be fooled with diamonds. This is what you say, right? Other than colored stones.
And this is why so-called certificates, or gemstone reports from well-known and highly recognized gem laboratories in the world, they are very important when you buy gemstones.
Okay. And if I want to invest in gemstones, and let's say I don't want to bear the risk of having a safe and storing them, etc., I want to build, let's say, a security, I want to bring them on chain. What are the hurdles? Is that even possible?
It is possible. We are working on that. In fact, nobody has done it before. It's quite interesting. So within the last 2 or 3 years, people think about what they can do with gemstones. It's the oldest asset in the world, but more or less the business hasn't changed within the last 5,000 years. So you see a gemstone, either you like it or not, you buy it or not. But when you think about putting in, for example, on a blockchain, putting into security, or thinking about listing in on a stock exchange, there are several hurdles, and it's all about the quality. You need some, let's say, a grid of quality, of size, of value, that you can decide whether a gemstone is worth to invest in and to put it into a certain asset location, whatever you would like to do.
I mean, with my past a bit in structured product, right? What you need in a structured product is a very standardized product. So would you, for let's say a Ruby security or blockchain-based product, would you then cut all the stones in the same size and make them available just in like 1 carat, for example, for like all the rubies?
From my point of view, never do this. If a gemstone is nice, leave it as it is. Because when you cut a ruby down to 1 carat from, for example, 1.5 carats, you destroy value and you destroy the gemstone. And this is definitely what you don't want to have because it's an ultra rare asset. So you have to distinguish between, for example, 1 to 1.5 carat, 1.5 to 2 carat, and that you build a certain asset location, where you divide the money you want to invest into several gemstones or categories of gemstones. And color gemstones are kind of complex, but when you understand how the market works, it's pretty easy to find a way to build a structured product.
Now, you said if I want to build a structured product, let's stick with the rubies example. You said it takes months, right, to find them. Maybe out there is somebody that says, okay, I want to have 50 million. I'm going to put in your security, start a ETF kind product, right? Where this is just like a ruby index. Let's say 1 to 1.5 carats, right? Only. How long would it take you to place 50 million in rubies?
I have no idea, because when you want to invest 50 million US dollars or euros into natural colored untreated rubies of high quality, this in a somehow called medium-sized amount of money will affect the whole gemstone market. When I go to a fair, for example, in Bangkok or Hong Kong, and I start buying gemstones, 100,000, 100,000, a million, people will talk to each other, and they will know that there is a crazy guy from Austria buying gemstones, and this will affect the prices on the market. You have to fly below the radar when you do this.
But this effectively also means if you bring a product on the blockchain or as a security on the market, you are creating more scarcity, and you would actually elevate prices for the rest of the market.
This is good afterwards, but not while you're buying gemstones, because you would harm your own product. So you take, for example, 1 million here, 1 million there, 1 million from here, and then you invest this, but without people knowing that you're the same person who buys all the good stuff out of the market.
Well, yeah, but if there's an issuer, right, and the security identification, but obviously everybody knows there's a product that is backed by certain stones, so they would know that there is somebody storing up this value.
But it might take time, and therefore it's more smart to wait a little bit longer, to get the best prices in the market, to get and first of all to get the best quality.
Sounds like a tricky market. I mean, to get that listed, people might also ask themselves, how about security? I mean, if somebody breaks in and steals the stones, right, they're gone. So
definitely,
is there insurances?
Yes. You can insure the market. Each and every large fair in the world is insured. And the trick is to store the gemstones in a place where it's very hard to break in, and to keep the certificates away from the gemstones. And when there is a significant stone of a certain value, it's very hard to resell this gemstone in the world. So when I think about the famous sunrise ruby, the most expensive ruby ever traded for a carat price, it's 32 million US dollars when it was sold. If you want to resell this gemstone, it's pretty much impossible because there is only one. And that's funny.
Until we find a new one in the mine.
Good luck, because it's an old Burmese stones. The mines in Burmese are pretty much exhausted. So this is really, really one of a kind.
So what kind of stones do you still find in mines, and where are they?
Well, approximately 80% of all rubies are mined in Mozambique. The mines in Moga, Burma, now Myanmar, are pretty much exhausted, but they are the most famous ruby mines in the world. When you think about sapphires, especially blue sapphires, of course, Burma as well, or in Sri Lanka, the most valuable sapphires in the world are from the Indian Kashmir. They were found between 1873 and 1880. So they are totally gone. For emeralds, Colombia, for example, when you think about, let's say, alexandrite, Brazil and Russia, when you think about spinel, also Burma or Tanzania. So there are only 5 to 10 places in the world for each and every gemstone where you find good quality.
And is there like a monopoly, like on those digging for the stones, or is it a very crowded, diverse space?
It's a very diverse market. And when you think about white diamonds, for example, there are two main players like Alrosa from Russia and De Beers, the famous De Beers company. They together have approximately 70% market share. When you compare this to the color gemstone market, there is no such big player.
Is there somebody keeping records and how much comes out of mines? How much is being traded?
No.
There is no public records?
No. They try to establish, or they try to find out what can be found in the world. And the problem is when you think about the rough gemstones, it's very hard to find out what can be cut out of a rough gemstone. For example, we have Colombian emeralds, where approximately 83% of the rough is gone, and only 17% remain as a cut gemstone.
It's crazy.
So it's you lose a lot of amount of the rough to produce a high quality, top notch gemstone.
Now coming back to securitization. Giving that a price tag and giving it liquidity on the market, you would not only make friends out there in the world, I would assume, right? Because if it's such an intransparent market, one might sell each, like let's say there's two stones that are really totally the same.
Mm-hmm.
One might sell it for, I don't know, 50K and the other one for 30K.
Well, there are informal wholesale prices in the world, and when you're long enough in the market, you know approximately how the wholesale prices are established, and when you have two top-notch gemstones, the price is pretty much equal. But of course, if you need money now, you would give 5 to 8% discount on the gemstone, and another person won't, because when I ask for a discount and the person doesn't need to sell, either I take it for a full price, or not.
Well, the bid and ask spread, right? So the sellers and the buyer's price usually have a spread. Otherwise, you as a trader wouldn't make money. That makes sense.
Exactly. So it's called in gemstone business, it's all about the so-called asking price. It's defined by carat, and then we decide where we can meet.
How many stones are sold to jewelry makers and how many are held private? Do you have an approximate?
Not at all, because the market within gemstones is divided again into the so-called treated market and the untreated gemstones. We are specialized in untreated gemstones, meaning you find the rough, you cut, you polish, and that's it. So there's no further treatment on the stones to look prettier. And when you think about jewelry, depending on the gemstone, 95 to 99% of all stones in jewelry, not for white diamonds, but for colored gemstones, are treated. So either they are heated to improve clarity or color, or they are irradiated to look more sparkling. So there are many ways to treat the gemstones. And this is why you need the certificates to find out, is it untreated or is it treated?
What's the difference? More valuable if it's treated?
Untreated is way more valuable, because it's from Mother Earth and not touched by humans, not improved by humans.
That's interesting. So here, technology that improves how the stone looks like decreases the value?
Definitely, because each and every asset in the world, the less you touch it, the more valuable it is, because it's more beautiful. When you think about paintings, is it an original by Leonardo da Vinci? Is it one of his students, or is it just a reproduction in the style of Leonardo?
So for you as a trader with a private equity background, looking a bit into the future, how do you see the gemstone market developing? Are there many people working on listing gemstones?
From my point of view, not at all, because it's an old business. People are stuck into the business because it's a more generational business. When I think about mining companies or mining families, when I think about cutting companies, it's done from grandfather to father to son to grandson. and they want to stick in their business because this is what they know what to do. And I always say I'm a clown from Austria. I do this for 15 years now, and my idea is to rethink the oldest asset in the world.
Mm-hmm. And let's assume you bring stones on chain. Would you then bring one category of stones or a portfolio of stones? How would you do that?
In best case, everything, because when you have got a mixed portfolio, then you have a diversified market. And when you specialize in, for example, one coin or one blockchain product just for rubies, one for sapphires, one for emeralds, or you can even go deeper in the market and say, okay, we do one for East African products, we do one for Asian products, or even more deeper in the market, just Burmese rubies, Burmese sapphire, Colombian emeralds.
Where the rarity will drive you crazy if you have to place the money and actually have the stored value.
But this might be interesting also for investors because they can decide what they believe in. Okay. If they want to go into the rarest Colombian emeralds, this is their product. If they want to go into the more or less everything market for gemstones, they can invest in the diversified portfolio, for example.
But aren't those stones highly correlated? I would assume that rubies, emeralds, sapphires are kind of like having the same price movement.
No, not at all. Because ruby, for example, the color red is the most sought after color in the world. And when you think about Asia, people don't ask whether you have gemstones. They assume that you have gemstones. And if you're lucky, you can afford rubies. If not, you go to red spinel. If not, you go to garnet, tourmaline, etc., etc. So red is the most desired color in the world. So rubies have always been the most demanded gemstones in the world. And this is why they are the most valuable color gemstones in the world.
And the prices are developing in terms of increasing constantly, or do you see price waves like in gold or anything?
No, not at all. Gemstones are a very conservative asset. They are not volatile at all. They don't show strong correlation. I would even say they don't show any correlation to the global economy. And there is only one way for gemstone. It's up. Within the last 25 years, we have all the figures. They only went up. And especially each and every crisis,
or more than inflation.
More than inflation. And when you think about it's a rare asset, it's a physical asset. People buy this in each and every crisis. And we saw it within the housing bubble, we saw it with the .com bubble, we saw it with the now everything bubble, we saw it with COVID. When there is a crisis, diamonds go down because 80% go into jewelry. Color gemstones, they go up because people store their money into rare assets, physical assets they can take with them. It's a safe haven.
Interesting market, extremely complex. I hope you actually successfully build such products. Maybe we can assist at Venionaire Capital.
Would be my pleasure.
Show. I learned a lot. I hope you did as well. Definitely an interesting topic. Patrick, thank you for joining us here in this episode. I enjoyed it a lot speaking with you.
Thanks.
And I hope you did also learn a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, tune in for the next episode, and have a good time. Bye-bye.
Bye.